To recreate or not to recreate? That is the question. I'm just joking, guys. We're recreating it. Hi, hello, and welcome to the Fluffy Tail household, where there's nothing but good fuzzy vibes here. So today, I am going to recreate one of my costumes that I've been wanting to recreate for a while. This is my Satoko Hojo costume from Higurashi When They Cry. Now, I did make this costume about 2-ish years ago, and there are some obvious glaring problems that I've been wanting to fix for a while. I do wear this costume quite often, like every con I think I wear it. It's just the easiest to put on, and not only that, she's just a fun character to do. So let's take a look at all the issues. So the biggest issue being that this outfit is way too big. There are seams where there shouldn't be seams. Like there's this odd little notch in the middle where the tie is. I don't like that, and the tie is clearly too big. Everything is folding in on itself because it's not sitting correctly. Even the ribbon is all wonky. I just don't like any of the seams anywhere. You can tell how wrinkly they are. And in the back especially, this is the biggest one. I had to take it in so many times because I lost so much weight. And it just doesn't look right. The sleeves don't look right. They don't hug my arms well enough. That one little white part keeps flipping up because it's so flimsy and flopsy. And everything is just not good, not perfect. I don't like it, and that's why we're recreating it. For this project, I am mixing these 3 patterns together. So the McCall's dress pattern that I'm using, which is this one right here, I'm going to use that for the main bodice. I'm going to use, of course, the Wednesday Addams pattern, like I've said before, for the sleeves. And then I'm going to use, like, this schoolgirl pattern, and I'm going to use it for the middle piece, which will create the collar and everything else. So that is all the patterns, and I'm giving you a close look at them so you know which ones to get if you ever want to tackle a project like this, or if you're just experimenting with patterns. It's really easy to mix all these patterns too for whatever pieces you need for a project. quick side note before I cut this piece out. So this is all the pre-washed white cotton fabric I have. I'm going to make it work because I'm not going to pull out another piece of cotton that's not pre-washed. So this piece, the collar piece, which is like the sailor collar piece, when I cut out a second piece of it, it's going to be in two, and it's going to have a seam up the middle, but that seam up the middle is going to be on my back side, if that makes any sense. So when I put the two patterns together, like this will be one whole pattern, and then when I cut out the second piece, it'll actually be two that I'm going to put together, and then put the two of those pieces together to make one full collar. Again, if you guys are doing any project, like, always make sure you have enough fabric. This is just what I had in my stash. I'm not going to buy any more. But anyway, I just wanted to explain that. If you ever wanted to, like if you're in my situation and needed to piece pieces together, this is the solution of how I'm going to do it without wasting fabric. Yellow piece, this is the pattern that I ripped off the old costume. I'm just gonna make it smaller because the thing with this piece was it was way too big on the last one, and I'm just gonna use up whatever I can of this piece because this is all the yellow I have, this like light colored yellow, and it was from my scrap pile. So I'm like, again, I'm just gonna use what I got. The piece will be smaller, which fine. It doesn't need to be ginormous like it was last time. So yeah, that's the plan I'm gonna go with. the length by cutting quite a good amount off. And then I also brought in some of the seams because they were a little bit big. But I'm not going to do too much more because I am going to French seam this, which is also going to take away some inches as well. So I think this is good for now. It's really nice that I could slip it on, which is what I wanted. I don't want to put a zipper in it or anything. I want to be able to slip this on. So yeah, that's what I'm going to start doing is the French seams. Okay, just a few things. I did take out the French seams. The French seams were not working. If you ever use this pattern, which I will show it again, the McCall's pattern, just know that French seams are not a good idea. It's got too many curves, and when you French seam it, those curves get like really wrinkled. I didn't like it. It was looking kind of ugly. Also, the back, I had to take in a lot, just because, I don't know, maybe it's just my back shape or something. I'm still not completely happy with the back side. It's still wrinkly. There was a lot of things wrong with it. I don't know. I didn't like the back side. So, yeah. I probably won't be using this pattern again. I really don't like it. I don't know. Maybe my thoughts will change. But anyway, this part is finished, and I did serge the inside. So the inside is serged just to give it some integrity. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it up, and I'm going to make my hem. And then I'm going to get started on the sailor collar, which actually fits this curve really nicely once I sew both of the collars together and then sew it to this part. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to top stitch the collar on. So I'm just basically going to serge all the neckline and then top stitch the collar on, because that white piece will hide this part right here. These two parts will go together, and then the rest of it will be on. So yeah, that's the plan. That's what I'm sticking with, and we're gonna go with that. Okay, for right now, I stopped sewing so I can show you guys all that I pinned. So when I was talking about the collar earlier, I'm going to show you the back of the collar. So if you guys can see the line in between, that's going to go on the back, so it won't be a problem. I got that pinned, all the ribbon pinned to the collar parts. This part in particular, so this is a little tie, and a lot of anime school uniforms have this little tie. How do I explain this pattern? I think I made this pattern. I don't think I got it off of a pattern. I can't remember. But if you guys want to do something like this or something similar, maybe you guys have a better method. But I kind of made like a tie shape and pinned that together. And then the tops, which are going to go like kind of tucked underneath the collar part, what I did is I hemmed the two separate pieces. So when I flip it inside out, what it's going to do is it's going to tuck under the collar like this. So let me flip the collar around. When the collar's together on the neckline, this tie piece kind of goes like this. Kind of like that. I hope that makes sense. It'll make more sense when I actually sew it and pin it to the garment. I know some people asked me at Anime Expo when I was wearing this cosplay, they asked me how I did the tie piece. And that's kind of how I did it. So I hope that explains things if you guys are ever wondering how to accomplish this. And then there's a little square piece that will wrap around that piece to make it scrunched up and make it actually look like a tie. But I will show you guys when I'm done. Right now we're going to go on a little sewing binge. just looking at the two side by side, I can already tell that this one is infinitely better than this one. This one's a mess because I had to rip off that piece to try to resemble the pattern for the tie, but otherwise I'm so glad I redid this. So I'm not gonna put it on yet. We're gonna try to do blood all over it. I used to have blood all over this one, but when I washed it, it got all washed off. I want to try to do puffy paint mixed with some acrylic paint maybe, and then heat set it, and then that way when I rewash it, it won't come off or it won't like stain anything. So we're gonna give that a try. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't, I'm really happy with how this turned out, and I'll give you guys a reveal. Alright, after consulting the good people of my TikTok channel, I am going to kind of do a mixture of acrylic red paint and brown fabric paint, which I've done a mixture of this before with acrylic and fabric paint, and then I heat sealed it, and it worked out just fine. It stayed on the costume. So I am gonna do that, and on my little sample over there, I was doing a lot of brush strokes. I'm gonna do more tapping than anything else and smearing with my hand. So I think that's how I'm gonna go about it. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna do a big handprint swipe on the front, and I'm gonna mostly maintain all this to the front and just go from there and see what happens. Okay, this cosplay actually turned out really, really good. I will say I still did not like the pattern, but you know what? For this dress, it works. And everything just like came together, even though I was having problems with the fitting. I don't know if you guys have trouble with McCall's patterns. Please tell me. I'm not trying to, you know, dish out on McCall's or anything, but like please tell me if you do have problems with the patterns, because I've never had a problem with simplicity, but for some reason in the sizing department with McCall's I just always have a problem. But anyway, besides all that, this came together so well and I can't wait to wear it to my next con. And I hope if you guys revamp anything, show me. It would be so awesome. Anyway, have a good day, guys. I'll see you later. Bye!